Hey everybody, it's Chris here. I'm going ahead with the second video, the first in maybe, anyway, the first after the introduction, so the second video. Um, and I think what I'm going to talk about this time is maybe a little bit about what it means to be, kind of what we need, what what we ought to be doing to prepare, because like I said, I got a fire hose of information and a and a commandment to warn people and to be prepared that there's there are troubling times ahead, that there are difficult times ahead, and I don't, so first of all, what what the Lord was able to communicate to me in that 5 or so hours that He spoke to me was an incredible amount, more than I can, hundreds of videos worth, or I don't know how long. I guess that's kind of arbitrary, but a lot. Like I wouldn't know where to start, or I don't know where to start really, and so rather, because he showed me some things that are quite troubling. They're scary, and rather than just point out all these fearful things, I think what's important is to start with a solid foundation of what should we be doing. Okay, that's a common question that people ask is like, okay, so you heard this, like what should we do? You know, and so I think that's a good place to start. Okay, so the first step is that what we should be doing is getting closer to God. You praying. Pray all the time. You know, um, and just really try and make ourselves prepared to listen to God, because that's one of the things that we're gonna need. We're not gonna. You won't be able to save yourself. You know, for example, if you were to save up a bunch of food and water, and you were to do everything you could to be prepared without being led by God. If you were just like, okay, I don't need God. Whatever happens, I've got guns, water, and food that can last me for 10 years, and so I don't care what I'm not I don't know. This is a theoretical thing, but my point is being prepared with a human mind, with a mind toward the natural or your fleshy needs. That's not gonna help you. What you really need, because we're gonna be standing before the judge soon. Even if we survive this, even if you were to survive this tribulation, like this is the end time, and soon we're gonna be judged, and and so what you need to be doing is preparing for that, preparing your heart and your soul for that, and you know so that's like the main thing is like start praying. Ask God to if you haven't been walking with God, ask Him, please, Lord, please come into my life and help me to get closer with you, and help me, you know um, if if you're wrestling with sin, which we all are. I still sure am. I pray about that all the time. God, please help me, and He does help you. And so, and pray for others, and pray for just, you know pray to be filled with His Spirit, to be led by God, and just pray for Him to come into your life and into your heart and the lives of your loved ones, and just pray to be filled with the Spirit of God, and to be able to hear Him, and to be able to listen for Him, and to be led by Him. Because when this time comes, um, those of us who are believers won't know what to do unless we can listen to God, unless we can really listen and hear Him. And so that's a big thing. That's a big thing. Okay. Um, and then, you know, the other thing that I think is really important, and this is the thing that in church today, uh, my the minister at my church, he read from Acts, and he read up to verse 31, and I kept reading at verse 32, and that's verse 32 is what caught my attention, and I think it kind of speaks to the state of the church, or at least the state of Christianity in America, as I see it anyway, and maybe also, if we are gonna look at Revelations and say, Revelation speaks of the church of Laodicea and how it's a lukewarm church. I think maybe this passage speaks to the lukewarmness of the church as it is today, and how and really how it was meant to be, because these people in Acts, these believers, these early believers, they were the ones that were filled with the Spirit, and they had the message fresh on hand. And this is like a picture of what the church of God ought to be like. Okay, and so here I'm going to just read Acts chapter 4, verse 32 through 35. And this is the English Standard Version. But all right, so here we go. Now, the full number of those who believed were of one heart and soul. And no one said that any of the things that belonged to him was his own, but they had everything in common. And with great power the apostles were giving their testimony to the resurrection of the Lord Jesus, and great grace was upon them all. There was not a needy person among them, for as many as were owners of lands or houses sold them, and brought the proceeds of what was sold and laid it at the apostles' feet, and it was distributed to each as they had need. So that, and that's something that God impressed upon me. This is something that God impressed upon me, that in order to get through this, the believers of God's people are going to have to pull together incredibly strong, incredibly tightly. We're going to have to be like a family, like literally, like what you would do for your son or your brother or your mother or your father. That's what you have to do for all of us. We need to be that strong. So and that's the picture, that we're of one heart and one soul. And no one says that anything that is theirs belongs to him, but they held everything in common. And that's how we need to be that strong church. That's so generous that we're willing to give. We're willing to help each other. We're willing to stand as a family. And and if one person starves, then all of us starve. And if one person prospers, then all of us prosper. And we need to be God's people, a family under God, and that's one of the keys that I just want to discuss, is that what we really need to do is start drawing together in love and taking care of one another, and working together as so much more than we do, so much more than we do. And the reason this is so important is because soon there's going to be a lack of goods, and a lack of food and water, and people are going to really be in serious need. And it's our family. We need to think of it as our family members, our brothers and sisters in God, are going to be starving, and we need to be prepared to help each other and to help them. And so that's where we need to be in our faith and our belief, that we can say God's going to take care of us. If I have to give up some stuff that I earned, in order to help my family, later on my family and God will help me. Okay, so that's the end of this one. I thank you guys for listening, and I look forward to hearing from more of you. Bye.